Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Crown Jewel review. And Crown Jewel was from the King Fahd International Stadium. I think that's how you pronounce it, in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And happy Halloween to you guys out there. I hope you all are having a good, enjoyable Halloween. And gotta admit, Crown Jewel this year fucking sucked. This was a garbage ass show. We had 9 matches that were on the card. One of them was on the Kickoff show. 2 matches that took place on the card I thought was decent. The rest of it was just boring garbage. So, but let's get started with the Crown Jewel review. So I'm going to start with the match that was on the Kickoff show, and it was the 20-man Battle Royal. And whoever won the Battle Royal got to face AJ Styles later on in the show for the United States title, for the United States Championship. So the participants were Sunil Singh, Mojo Rawley, Eric Rowan, R-Truth, Sin Cara, the Brian Kendrick, Tyson O'Neil, Tony Nese, Akira Tozawa, Shelton Benjamin, Apollo Crews, Buddy Murphy, Andrade Cien Almas, Drake Maverick, Eric Young, Luke Harper, Cedric Alexander, Heath Slater, Humberto Carrillo, and No Way Jose. And because Sunil Singh, used the 24/7 champion, the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 champion, the 24/7 title rules were suspended here. So the first one that got eliminated in this Battle Royal was, of course, Drake Maverick. I mean, why is Drake Maverick in a Battle Royal when he's not even a wrestler, superstar? What WWE is making him to be, because he's the general manager of 205 Live. Of course, they have him chasing for the stupid Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 championship. But it came down in the match to Humberto Carrillo and Eric Rowan. And Humberto Carrillo ended up eliminating Eric Rowan. And Humberto Carrillo won the Battle Royal. So Humberto gets to face AJ Styles for the United States Championship. And during this Battle Royal, when R-Truth got eliminated and Sunil Singh got eliminated, that's when Sunil and R-Truth were there. R-Truth ends up rolling up Sunil Singh, and R-Truth wins the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 championship. And of course, you have the circus coming out, chasing after R-Truth. God. Of course, you can't have Crown Jewel without the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 championship there. Absolute garbage. But Humberto Carrillo wins the 20-man Battle Royal. He gets to face AJ Styles later on in the show for the United States Championship. But pretty much that was basically that. That was the only match that was on the Kickoff show. If you want to count the stupid 24/7 championship shit that happened. But that was that. And then the show got underway, Crown Jewel, and the first match to kick off the show was Brock Lesnar versus Cain Velasquez for the WWE Championship. Of course, Rey Mysterio came out. He was with Cain Velasquez. Rey Mysterio was on the outside during the match. And the match itself, it only lasted maybe 5 minutes tops. The match was shit. It was short and garbage. I mean, yeah, Cain Velasquez, he ended up taking down Brock Lesnar. But Brock Lesnar came back, and Lesnar ended up locking in the Kimura lock to Cain Velasquez. Velasquez ended up tapping out. So Brock Lesnar wins the match, still retains the WWE Championship. And I'm like, this is what you bring Cain Velasquez into the WWE for? Just for him to tap out to Brock Lesnar? I mean, I know Velasquez signed a 3-year contract with WWE, but this is what you do. You get Cain Velasquez here just for him to tap out to Brock Lesnar. Match was shit. 5 minutes tops with this match. And post match, Brock Lesnar refused to unlock the Kimura lock off of Velasquez. Rey Mysterio comes in with the chair. Mysterio ends up hitting Lesnar with it, and Lesnar grabbed the chair, and he ends up scooping Rey Mysterio up, slams him over the ropes, and Rey Mysterio goes to the floor. And that's when Brock ends up grabbing a chair. He ends up hitting the chair to Velasquez's back. And Lesnar ends up picking up Velasquez. He delivers the F5 to Velasquez on the chair. Mysterio comes back in with another chair, and he beats Lesnar with the chair. And Lesnar is down, and Ray still keeps on hitting Lesnar with the chair shots, and Brock Lesnar ends up getting out of there. Match was garbage. Match was absolute shit. So that was that. All you do is bring Velasquez there just for him to tap out to Brock Lesnar. So then after that we had the Revival. They end up cutting a promo, and they're talking about trailblazing their way to the top of the WWE Tag Team ladder, and they intend to win the Tag Team Turmoil match, and to prove that they're the best, because whoever won this Tag Team Turmoil match, they will be declared the best tag team in the world. So they end up saying, that they're gonna prove that they're the best. And you have the War Raiders. They end up cutting a promo after the Revival. The War Raiders talk about how their domination travels with them, and we will be witnessed by all on the battlefield of Crown Jewel. So they end up cutting a little promo. And then we had the Tag Team Turmoil match. So it was Kurt Hawkins, Zack Ryder versus Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode versus Heavy Machinery. The first match to kick it off in this Tag Team Turmoil was Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode versus the Lucha House Party. Just right from there, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, are going to eliminate the Lucha House Party, and they did. Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode eliminated the Lucha House Party. Roode ended up pinning the Glorious DDT on Grand Metalik. So there you go. The Lucha House Party got eliminated. And so Dolph and Roode ended up taking on Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. Right from there, Dolph and Roode were going to eliminate the both of them. That's what they did. Dolph ended up hitting the zigzag. I think it was on to Kurt Hawkins. So Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder got eliminated. And then out came Heavy Machinery. So it was Dolph and Roode versus Heavy Machinery. And, towards the match, it was decent here. because Heavy Machinery, very entertaining. And Heavy Machinery end up eliminated Dolph and Rude. They end up pinning the Compactor to Rude. So Dolph and Rude were eliminated. And then came the New Day. So it was the New Day versus Heavy Machinery. And towards the end, the New Day end up eliminated Heavy Machinery. They end up hitting the midnight hour on Tucker Knight. So Heavy Machinery got eliminated. And the B Team were the next. So it was the B Team, New Day versus the B Team. Right from there, can you tell me who got eliminated? If you said the B Team, you are correct. So the New Day end up eliminated the B Team. Big E ended up hitting the big ending on Curtis Axel. So the B Team got eliminated. The Revival ended up coming out. And tomorrow night on SmackDown, it's going to be, I think, the New Day versus the Revival for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. So it was the New Day versus the Revival here. The New Day end up eliminating the Revival, which I thought the Revival was probably going to win this, and they should have won it. So the New Day eliminated the Revival. Kofi ended up rolling up on Scott Dawson. So the Revival were eliminated, which they shouldn't have. They shouldn't have been eliminated. And then it was down to the OC and the New Day. And the winners of this match were the OC. The OC ended up eliminating the New Day. Gallows and Anderson ended up hitting the Magic Killer on Kofi Kingston. So there you go. The OC wins this Tag Team Turmoil match, and they are declared the best tag team in the world. And I'm like, you give it to the OC when they weren't, when they were on a losing streak. They're a team that WWE has embarrassed ever since they came into the company, and this is for a trophy, a worthless trophy. Unbelievable. The Revival, they should have won this Tag Team Turmoil because I think they deserve it. They're one of the best tag teams on this dead tag team division. And going with the OC, very meh. They could have gave it to the Revival. And so then, after that, Byron Saxton. Byron Saxton was interviewing Rey Mysterio. Rey ends up saying that he gives Brock Lesnar props for surviving Cain Velasquez. So Mysterio ends up saying Lesnar has yet to survive him. And he'll pay for everything he's done to his son, Dominic, if it's the last breath he takes. So there you go. That was the little interview with Rey Mysterio. And then we had possibly one of the best matches on this show. In my opinion, it was the best match, of the night there, and it was Mansoor versus Cesaro. This was a good match, in my opinion. Mansoor, very entertaining in the ring. I know, earlier in June at Super Showdown, he won that Battle Royal where he last eliminated Elias. And just Mansoor and Cesaro gave it all they got in this match. It was highly entertaining. You had Mansoor. He ended up doing, he ended up diving out of the ring, and Cesaro ended up coming at him with the elbow, which looked crazy. And in the end, Mansoor ended up winning the match. He ended up hitting a moonsault to Cesaro, and a diving moonsault to Cesaro. And so there you go. Mansoor ended up winning the match. Very good match from the both of them. It was entertaining. It was probably the best match on the show. So I was really entertained by this match. And post-match, we had Greg Hamilton. Greg Hamilton was interviewing Mansoor about... sorry about that, but I was saying Mansoor was getting interviewed by Greg Hamilton about the win against Cesaro. Mansoor ended up talking about how this is the most important match of his life, and when he was talking, they did have a little mic trouble. So, but Mansoor ends up talking about how this was the most important match of his life. He admitted that he was scared until he stepped in the ring in front of his family. He ends up saying he remembered anything is possible. So Mansoor ended up speaking a little Arabic. And he says he dreamed there would be a Saudi superstar in WWE. And he was, talking, a bit more Arabic to fans over there. But Mansoor, very entertained superstar in the ring. He did really well against Cesaro here. And I don't know if they're going to use Mansoor on TV, because I remember he was last in NXT. So, Mansoor should be used on TV, or unless WWE is wanting to bring him out more for the Saudi shows. So, but he is definitely entertaining, and what he did here with Cesaro was awesome. And they had to give Mansoor, the win, because of course he's from Saudi Arabia. So, but all in all, good match. It was probably the best match on this show. Then after that, we had Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins was being interviewed by Byron Saxton. Seth Rollins ends up saying, this ends tonight, and that Bray Wyatt has taken him to a dark place. And he says he has to admit that part of him enjoys it. Rollins went on to say that everything about the Fiend is different, uncomfortable, and unsettling. He says he wants everyone to remember that no matter what happens, he didn't start this fight. So, that was the interview with Seth Rollins. Of course, he's going to be Seth Rollins is taking on the Fiend. It was a false count anywhere match where there was going to be no match stoppage. And it was for the Universal Championship. Then we had Tyson Fury versus Braun Strowman, a match that I did not care for when it was announced, and a little feud that I did not give a shit about. This match was boring, and of course, I did not give a shit about this match. Braun Strowman just took out Tyson Fury. Fury made some punches here and there. It looked like, of course, at points he was punching air. Braun Strowman ended up slamming Tyson Fury. And the end of the match, Fury ended up knocking out Strowman. It was like a TKO. He ended up knocking out Strowman. Strowman, was out of the ring. Tyson Fury ends up winning the match by countout, but they called it a TKO. No, Tyson Fury won by countout, and they claim, oh yeah, Tyson Fury wins due to a TKO to Braun Strowman. So Tyson Fury wins the match. I didn't give a shit. Post-match, Braun Strowman comes in, ends up power slamming Fury. And we can hear Strowman say that, "This is my win, you piece of crap." Which he said that to Tyson Fury. Then Braun Strowman ended up leaving the ring, walking to the back. Boring match. Garbage. This match ended in 8 minutes? 8 minutes tops. Absolute garbage. Then we had AJ Styles versus Humberto Carrillo for the United States Championship. And the match itself, it was okay for what it was. Didn't love the match. Wasn't a great match by any means, though, but it was back and forth between Styles and Humberto. Of course, you had Gallows and Anderson out there. Gallows and Anderson came out holding the trophy for the best tag team in the world thing, which, like I said earlier, the Revival should have won that Tag Team Turmoil. But Styles and Humberto Carrillo, it was back and forth. And Styles ended up winning the match. Ended up hitting the phenomenal forearm to Humberto Carrillo. AJ Styles wins the match. Still retains the United States Championship. And a lot of people are like, oh yeah, WWE, they're putting over Humberto Carrillo. What are they putting over? They're not putting over Humberto. He already lost 3 matches already. Tell me how this is getting Humberto over. It's not doing anything for him. And it's sad because Humberto is decent in the ring. In my opinion, he's actually very entertaining. But WWE, they're not making Humberto, they're not getting Humberto over. Even though they claim that they want to get him over, and already he has 3 losses at being on the main roster after coming up from 205 Live. There you go. Styles wins the match, retains the United States Championship. Then we had Byron Saxton. He was interviewing Hulk Hogan. Hogan ends up renaming Byron Saxton as Beautiful Byron. So corny. And Hogan says he's finally going to shut Ric Flair up. And Hogan talks about how his team has been training and drinking glasses of sand to get ready for the Total Destruction that's going to be coming against Team Flair. And he asks Flair what he's going to do when Team Hogan runs wild on him. And that was basically that with Hogan. Little interview with Hogan. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, before the AJ Styles and Humberto Carrillo United States Championship match, if anybody fucking cares about this, R-Truth was backstage. Of course, the circus of jobbers looking for R-Truth for the stupid Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 title. R-Truth comes out of a room and he's confronted by Samir Singh. And R-Truth tries to escape and he's running through a locked door. R-Truth runs into the door, and they call for a ref, and Samir Singh rolls up R-Truth, and there you go. Samir Singh wins the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 title. Who gives a shit? I didn't even want to mention it. Like, anybody cares. Like, anybody fucking cares. So I wanted to mention that, so I wouldn't forget. Not like any of you actually care about the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 title. So then after the interview with Hulk Hogan, we had Natalya versus Lacey Evans, which this is the first ever women's match in Saudi Arabia. And WWE, they end up taking a shot at doing a women's match in Saudi Arabia, even though at the other Saudi events, the women not going to be invited to go there to compete in a match because the Saudi Arabia rules. But WWE took a big step with this, and they put a women's match on the card for the show. And Natalya and Lacey Evans, they didn't come out wearing their ring gear. They were just wearing like their shirts. And the match to me didn't really mean anything. I mean, match itself, it wasn't that good. It wasn't a good match. The match was boring, in my opinion. But when Natalya ended up coming out, somebody threw a water bottle, because I definitely saw it. Somebody threw a water bottle when Natalya was making her entrance. And I'm like, that's disrespectful. It's very disrespectful. But the match itself wasn't that good. It was a terrible match, in my opinion. But you could tell that Natalya, you could tell that she really enjoyed being there, because it was a big moment for her, because she and Lacey Evans are the first ever woman to have a match in Saudi Arabia. But overall, match itself, like I said, was terrible. Natalya ended up winning. Sharpshooter on Lacey Evans. Lacey ended up tapping out. So there you go. Natalya wins the match. And in the end, we had Natalya and Lacey Evans. They were going around. They were, hugging a woman that was sitting in the floor level, the floor seats. And Natalya was taking pictures, with the fans there. It's the only time that Lacey Evans wasn't even in character. It was just, herself going out there, with her not being, with all these nasties. It was just her going out there, competing with Natalya. But overall, the match was terrible. But it was the first ever women's match in Saudi Arabia. Then we had Team Flair versus Team Hogan. Team Flair, it was King Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, which Bobby Lashley, when he came out, also Lana was present there with Bobby Lashley. So Lana ended up making her way down to Saudi Arabia. And we had Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, and Shinsuke Nakamura. Sami Zayn, of course, wasn't there because of, I guess, Saudi had a problem with Sami Zayn. So it was only Nakamura only there. So that was all for Team Flair. Of course, Ric Flair was out there. Then for Team Hogan, it was Chad Gable, not Shorty G, Chad Gable, which he was out there. He was wearing the stupid attire that made him look like a basketball player. So Chad Gable, Mustafa Ali, Ricochet, which Ricochet from what I saw, I think he was dressed up as a character from Dragon Ball Z. I think it's called All Might, the character in Dragon Ball Z, which Ricochet was dressed up as. His attire was. And he had Roman Reigns and Rusev. And the match itself was solid for what it was. Wasn't a great match by any means, though. I mean, there was some, entertaining spots here and there. At one point where Randy Orton ended up hitting the RKO to Roman Reigns. Went for the cover. Roman ended up kicking out of the RKO. So I was like, how do you kick out of the RKO with that? But in the end, you had Team Hogan winning the match. Roman ended up hitting the spear to Randy Orton. So there you go. Team Hogan wins the match. But overall, it was a solid match. But, it wasn't a great match by any means. There was some entertaining spots here and there, but it was all solid. Then we had the main event. Oh, and I forgot to mention it was advertised during the pay-per-view that at Survivor Series now it's going to be, and this I'm really looking forward to this because I hope WWE doesn't screw this up at Survivor Series. It's going to be Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT at Survivor Series. So that is going to be really interesting to see. I'm glad that they're now including NXT in the Survivor Series. So that's going to be one thing to look forward to at Survivor Series. But then we had the main event. It was The Fiend, Bray Wyatt versus Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship Falls Count Anywhere match. And of course, we had the red lighting that we saw at Hell in a Cell, for the Hell in a Cell, the shitty Hell in a Cell match. The red lighting returned. Looked like, we were watching the match. If you guys remember back in the mid-90s, if you remember that flop console that Nintendo released called the Virtual Boy. If you remember the Virtual Boy, and remember if you looked inside of, the goggles or something like that the Virtual Boy looked like, if you looked inside and you played the game and it was all red inside, that was like watching, their Hell in a Cell match and also the match that we saw tonight at Crown Jewel. It looked like we were watching it from the Virtual Boy. So, but the match itself, this, in my opinion, was one of the worst Falls Count Anywhere matches I have seen. You had spots where, where the Fiend and Seth Rollins, they were using, tables. You had the Fiend go through one of the announce tables. Seth Rollins ends up taking 2 tables from under the ring, setting them up on the outside. Seth Rollins, later on in the match, goes to the top. And he was trying to, jump off the top onto the Fiend. Take out, another announce table. But the Fiend ended up getting up. He shoves Seth Rollins off the top. Seth Rollins goes through 2 tables on the outside. And, of course, we had a Hell in a Cell. We saw this. Seth Rollins ended up hitting a lot of curb stomps to the Fiend. And was a point where they were both on the stage. Seth Rollins delivers a curb stomp out to the Fiend. Fiend got back up just like that. And Seth Rollins was just hitting more curb stomps to keep the Fiend down. And the Fiend was right by like the pyro. They were like keeping like, you know, road cases or boxes where like the pyro was. Seth ends up delivering a kick. It was a super kick to the Fiend. The Fiend ends up falling. Pyro goes off. So crew guys come over, end up getting extinguishers to extinguish the pyro. Seth Rollins and the referee come down the stairs. Seth Rollins goes to check and see if the Fiend is there. He ends up pulling one of the cases off. More pyro goes off. It goes into Seth's eyes. Because you hear Seth going, my. And then Seth's back was turned. And all of a sudden, you see the Fiend rise up behind him. So Seth Rollins turns around. The Fiend locks in the mandible claw on Seth Rollins. And it gives the Fiend the chance to hit the Sister Abigail, which he ended up delivering the Sister Abigail to Seth Rollins. Lays out Seth. Goes for the pin. 1, 2, 3. There you go. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, is the new Universal Champion. And I think that is the first title win in Saudi Arabia. I may be wrong on that, though, but there you go. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, is the new Universal Champion. I have to say it was not the best match for him to win the title because the match was terrible. It was, in my opinion, one of the worst Falls Count Anywhere matches that I have seen. But it's cool that the Fiend won the Universal Championship. Although, a lot of people, even myself, said it's too early for the Fiend to win the title, but the Fiend to win the Universal title. But this might get a sense that we may see the Fiend versus Brock Lesnar, champion versus champion, at Survivor Series. It might happen, and this might be a clue as to what might happen. So now that the Fiend won the Universal Championship, are we going to see the Fiend on Raw now? Because the Universal Championship is on Raw, and Bray Wyatt is on SmackDown. So what is it going to be? Bray Wyatt's going to be a free agent, and he's going to be on Raw and SmackDown. On Raw, he's going to be the Fiend, and on SmackDown, he's just going to be himself with the Firefly Funhouse, and not carry the Universal Championship with him. That's what I think WWE is going for. They're going to have him as the Fiend on Raw and be himself on SmackDown, doing the Firefly Funhouse, being the Mr. Rogers type. So that's what I see WWE is doing. So, but I loved the shot where the Fiend was in the back of Seth Rollins, where he rised up like that. Thought that was kind of a cool little image that he did. It was a perfect image, and showed him standing on the stage holding up the Universal Championship. Then after that, pyro and fireworks were going off, and I gotta say, pyro was more used at this show than at WrestleMania this year. I like the the design, the pyro and the production design for the show. They used a lot of pyro and fireworks. We gotta see more of that. We gotta see more of that at the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. Not use it all for the Saudi shows. It should be used for Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. we should see more of those for those two shows, not for those two big shows, not at the Saudi Arabia shows, not only at the Saudi Arabia shows. So, there you go. That was how Crown Jewel ended. But show was garbage, you know, except for Mansoor and Cesaro and Team Hogan versus Team Flair. The rest was garbage. But overall, garbage show. And pretty much that's basically it for the review. That's it for the Crown Jewel review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And there will be no SmackDown review tomorrow night. The SmackDown review will have to wait until maybe either Saturday or Sunday. Either those 2 days. So don't expect a review tomorrow night. I'm gonna be working late, so yeah. So, anyways, that's it for the Crown Jewel review. Thank you all for watching, and until the next video, which will be the SmackDown review, which will possibly be up, like I said, on Saturday or Sunday. So until then, I'll see you all later.